Hey everybody, Figment here again, and today I have some massive sailing discoveries. Well, they're kinda more like spoilers. I really want to emphasize that this is not a clickbait title. These are massive spoilers, and if you're interested in getting a more first-time experience and discovering on your own, maybe take a quick peek at the timestamps and see if there's something you want to avoid having spoiled. That being said, you guys crushed the sub goal from last video. I said I would push my route video well ahead of release, and that's still my plan, but I wanted to get this one out first. My route video is mostly done, I just need to polish up a few bits and pieces, clean up some documents, and make it readable for someone who isn't me. If you haven't seen my sailing prep videos, I highly recommend watching them. You can find the link in the top right or in the description below. Also below, I will have linked a charting megadoc that will show my findings from this video. Alright, how did I find these spoilers? Well, I went running around the coastlines in game with a detached camera. I also used an external map called osrs.world. And I even took a little tiny peek at the Runelite cache. First, let's talk about charting. Well, what is charting? Charting is one-time completion tasks for exploring in the sea. You are granted with some amount of experience for each task completed. When you complete a group of tasks in one area of the sea, you get a bigger chunk of XP, as seen by the picture. The sea is broken up into a hierarchy, and tasks will be classified as so. These can all be seen by zooming in on your map. If you are zoomed out the farthest, you will only see oceans. And each time you zoom in, you will see the next tier of body of water. For example, take the Ardent Ocean. In the Ardent Ocean, you have medium tiers of body of water, like the Menophyte Sea and the Bay of Elidinus. And lastly, if you zoom in one more time, you have a body of water that will be very specific to their region, such as the Elid Delta being inside of the Bay of Elidinus. These are all searchable by the search function on the map. I just wanted to include this quick explanation of the hierarchy, as this will actually be fairly important later on when I talk about charting locations and using the document itself. Charting is broken up into 6 main categories. These categories can be seen on the skill guide. We have generic, spyglass, rate and exotic, sea current, sea depth, and weather pattern. At level 1, you have generic charting. These can be things like rocks, shipwrecks, and even this enormous skeleton off of the coast of Feldip. Also at level 1, you get to chart with a spyglass. This will put your character into a small cutscene where you will view the area from a different angle. Spyglass locations are noted by these shiny circles that appear in the water. At level 12, after the Prying Times quest, you will unlock sealed crates and exotic drink charting. Hardcores, beware. At level 22, you unlock current charting after the Current Affairs quest. For these, you drop your little ducky into currents that look like this, and your duck will follow the current to its final location. These are essentially just follow the duck. At level 38, you get sea depth charting. These are the mermaids you will encounter, and they will give you some type of puzzle or word game, and then you will get a cutscene and your character will chart the area underwater. I believe you are required to have the diving apparatus and fishbowl equipped for these to work. Lastly, at 57, we have weather pattern charting. These are the meteorologist trolls you might have seen in game. They will hand you a device, and you will have to find a specific point in the ocean to chart a weather pattern. It is hard to tell right now without being able to see the full numbers, but charting will at the very least be extremely important early on in sailing. Now that you know the basics of charting, it's time to jump into the spoilers. This is your warning. I have every single charting task, all 358 of them. Well, mostly. We'll get to that in a second. But first, before we jump into the document, a few things to mention. I have not charted these with a visual map for reference for this video. My route video will have smaller snippets of relevant locations, but there are too many to put on a single image that does not have the ability to toggle them off and on. Also, the wonderful old school wiki team will have a fully functional map pretty quick after release, so to me, this is simply a waste of time. Second, I'm not going to go over every single charting task here, but I will mention the important things and how to properly utilize the document so you can take a look through yourself. Just like in my sailing prep sheet, we will be utilizing Google Sheets and the filter tool. I'm going to try to go pretty fast on these, so lock in and pay attention. In column 1, we have the level requirement for each charting location. You will notice that this is mostly empty outside of the ones known from the beta. This is intentional, as it's pretty difficult to know the exact levels, and I would rather leave them blank than put the wrong numbers there. That being said, a good rule of thumb is to look at the ports tab in the skill guide, as many of these areas around ports will be similarly leveled. In column 2, we have the expected sea region. This is mostly for ease of sorting and for lookup on full release. I tried my best to accurately display these, but some locations are actually like a 50-50, so there might be some wrong here. In general, I try to put the locations in the closest body of water, but like I said, this is not always accurate. Next up in column 3, we have the charting type. This is the most important column and all you really need to know. These should be pretty self-explanatory, but duck, mermaid, troll, spyglass, and crate should be very easy to recognize. If there is not one of those in the column, it means that it is a generic charting task and is a clickable object in the game. Next up is direction and landmark/general location. These are paired together for some easier readability. The direction, well, is the direction from the landmark. So in this example, the mega shrimp droppings in Catherby Bay are east of the Legends Guild. When you see a dash in the direction column, that assumes that is right where the landmark is. The marked column is pretty insignificant. This is simply green if I have it object, tile, or NPC marked in the game, and red means I do not. These are conditionally formatted, so keep that in mind if you are making your own copy. Also, as a quick tip, if you do make your copy and you want to quickly clear all these check marks, you can come to the top of the column here and hit double spacebar and it will wipe all of the check marks in the column. Next, we have XP. These are likely to have changed since the beta, and this is very self-explanatory. I left most of these blank for the same reason as the levels column, as there is no way to predict the accurate XP here. Then we have note. Notes are just simply little notes I put, which may have useful information in them. And lastly, we have the column, which most people have probably been staring at. And these are the corresponding cache values to the charting locations. I would wager around 95% of these are correct. If you scroll down some more, you'll notice a bunch of empty crate rows. These are because the crates themselves do not have different IDs, at least from what I could tell. That being said, it's not possible to link the specific drink crate with the charted ones in-game. However, I do have a separate sheet down here with drinks and all of their IDs, so you can see all the names and maybe you can chart these as you go. I personally won't be, but they are listed in here. Here is the charting task breakdown by category. You heard of why Fletch? Well, what about why chart? Well, these are the data mined rewards. Rapids are these little blue swirls that are currently on the map. These assumingly will grant your boat speed when pathing through them. These should, in general, increase XP per hour on port tasks and just overall transportation. Also, these are the data mined keg buffs. These were hinted at in a recent old school video, and while there's no way to see what the actual buff does, maybe we might be able to guess what they do. Put your best guesses in the comments. Major spoiler warning ahead. Next up, we have the Lost Schematics. If you've seen the recent additions to the collection log, you'll know that the endgame boat schematics are not learned for free. This means we have to perform some type of task to receive them. Luckily for the Runelight cache, we know how to obtain them now. Here we have a sheet that has all of the relevant information. On the left, we have an island with a chest in it. And on the right, we have an island that has a key on it. I don't know how we obtain the key, but we do know that there will be some type of action that gives us the key. Maybe it's digging somewhere specific with a spade, or building up the area, which we'll get to in the next sheet. I also do not know which schematic is on which island, but I would be willing to bet that the salvage station one is from Chinchampa Island. Lastly, we have the extras sheet. These are all the buildable spaces that can be found on different islands, and as I mentioned in the previous sheet, potentially building some of these on their respective ones might actually give us the key for a lost schematic, so I've included them here. Now, my other spreadsheet is not up to date on this, so I'll probably have to go back and add these in, but you can see all of the resource amounts for the buildable stations underneath the checkboxes. That's all for the spoilers for now, but I wanted to take a moment to quickly run down the limited defense implications. A quick reminder that these will all be from the perspective of a 1 defense account. I know not everybody is interested in this type of stuff, but I'm going to keep including these at the end of videos as I've had so many limiteds message me thanking me for including them. Charting. From what it looks like, there are zero charting tasks that we cannot do, which is actually massive. Drink charting, mobs can spawn on your boat, and if you're a hardcore or a 10 HP account, you might want to be careful. Lost schematics. Assuming we can go to every new island naturally, then we can unlock every single schematic as well. Well, that's it for limited defense info. Pretty short on this one, but I'd like to thank everybody for watching. This video is a bit more rushed than the other ones, as I got my new microphone today and I wanted to put something out as a test. If you're one of the survivors of my previous microphone, please let me know how this one is, and if it needs any more adjusting. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit those buttons. Route video is soon, hopefully Thursday, then I should be chilling and streaming until the full release on the 19th. Cheers.